Hello, Human Biology. I'm here to explain the flow of blood through the heart. You'll be studying while you're going over the heart lab today in Human Biology class. So as you see, what I have on the board here is what I call a four-square heart. And so it is not anatomically correct. So again, we want to make sure you know where the blood vessels are to watch the video I have on the heart models that I have posted for you to look at. The purpose of this is to look over the flow of the blood. Now I'm going to be using two different colors. So when you draw this out, you want to have a red and a blue. The blue represents low oxygenated blood. The red represents high oxygenated blood. So after it receives oxygen, it slows it on its way back to the heart. Okay, so looking at this board right here, I'm going to start off with the two major blood vessels, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So the superior vena cava is bringing back low oxygenated blood from the upper part of the body, and it brings it into the first chamber, the right atrium. The inferior vena cava is bringing blood back from the lower half of your body and brings it into the right atrium. So now the low oxygen blood is in the right atrium. Now it's going to go through the first valve, the tricuspid. I put down this tri, so you remember tricuspid. Also, you want to draw the valve having three flaps on this side. So it's going to go through the tricuspid, and it's going to go down into the right ventricle. Okay, now remember, this is the right side. It's the patient's right, not your right. Okay, so it's going to be backwards the way you think. So right ventricle is down here. Then it's going to go through the pulmonary semilunar valve. The pulmonary semilunar valve brings the blood into the pulmonary arteries. So that's what I'm going to go right here. It's going to go through the pulmonary semilunar valve. That's why I put SL for semilunar. And it's going to go past the pulmonary semilunar valve and go into the pulmonary arteries. Now the pulmonary artery branches out to both lungs. I'm only going to show out one lung here. I'm not going to make a whole nother lung here. Alright, and so it's in the pulmonary artery, and it's going to follow the pulmonary artery over to the lung here. I'm still using blue to represent low oxygen blood. But when it gets to the lung, this is where it picks up oxygen. So I'm going to switch over to my red marker now to show that it has picked up oxygen. There it is. And so now it has picked up oxygen, and now it needs to go back to the heart. It goes back to the heart, going through the blood vessels called pulmonary veins. Now, pulmonary veins, these are like the only veins in your body that actually carry high oxygen blood. And so they are going to bring the blood back to the heart. And so where does it go back to the heart? It goes back into the left atrium. Okay, the left atrium there. And so it goes into the left atrium, and then it goes to another valve, bicuspid valve, and makes its way into the left ventricle. Once it goes into the left ventricle, the heart contracts, and when it does, it's going to go through our last valve, the aortic semilunar valve, another SL valve, semilunar. But this one goes into the aorta. Okay, and so it goes to the semilunar valve, goes down the aorta, and that's where it travels throughout the rest of the body before it comes back through the vena cavas. So some other things to consider while you're studying this video here. First of all, what is the best definition of veins? Now, most people think that veins carry only low oxygen blood, in which most of the veins do, absolutely. But I just talked about veins that carry oxygenated blood, high oxygenated blood, pulmonary veins. So what do you call these veins? Well, the actual best definition for a vein is that a vein always goes towards the heart. Okay? Vein always means goes towards the heart. So it doesn't matter if it's bringing in low oxygen blood or high oxygen blood. Veins always goes towards the heart. Arteries, the true definition of artery is that it always goes away from the heart. So if you remember those definitions, you're never going to get them confused. Veins to the heart, arteries away from the heart, no exceptions. But if you remember, veins carry low oxygen blood. Remember, there's an exception: pulmonary veins. Arteries always goes away from the heart. Most arteries carry high oxygen blood, except pulmonary arteries. They carry low oxygen blood to the lungs, but because it's leaving the heart, it's still considered an artery. Another thing that you want to keep in mind when you're looking at this: when the blood goes to the heart, when the blood enters the heart, it always enters to the atrium. This blood goes in the atrium first. This blood goes in the atrium first. Atrium is actually, atrium is a Latin word that's used for the first room of the house that you enter into. Okay, so you may have heard like an atrium of a building. Okay, so an atrium of a building or an atrium of a house. It's the first room that you enter into when you go into the building. Same thing with the heart. When the blood enters in the heart, it always enters into the atrium first. Then it drops down into the ventricle. And then it goes out to its destination and comes back through the atrium. So remember that as well. Alright, so look over this drawing. I suggest you draw a drawing like this. Okay, it's part of your lab handout there. So sketch that, understand the blood flow, look at the other video to study the parts of the heart, and let me know if you have any questions. And that is it for me, so take care all.